Yesterday we have seen Shungas and Indo-Greeks. Today we'll continue from there. Shakas. In our history, these people also occupied important place. Particularly, these people initially, they were the one who gave the inscriptions in Sanskrit language. So it shows once outsiders, once they come to Indian subcontinent, they will accept the Indian traditions, and they in fact accepted and patronized also. One example we get from this dynasty also. For this, just have the geographic location. You can draw only the northern part. When it comes to when Greeks were here Shakas were there. When Shakas were here, there was a tribe called Yuchi tribe. One of the components of Yuchi tribe is Kushanas. When Greeks were here, Shakas were here, and thereafter these. Now these people pushed Shakas, and Shakas pushed the Greeks. And not only pushed, they completely removed. They completely eliminated, and these Shakas replaced this place. As a result, what happened? Once they pushed them, now the condition became like this. Here, Shakas came, and here, Yuchi tribe, they pushed further, and now they inroad to Indian subcontinent. Meanwhile, here, Satavahanas, Sangam, and here, Kharavela. And by this time, Shunga, almost Shungas done, Kanva rulers. Please make a map. One wing of Yuchi tribe is Kushana. Actually, what happens, this Yuchi tribe, there were 5 different tribes. Later one ruler will come and he is going to unify all of them. And that becomes the Kushanas when it comes to Indian literature. Now always you see, at this point of time, let us discuss why always people move towards Gangetic Valley. Already by this time, you know the causes also, why people want to migrate or conquer India, or you can say Gangetic Valley. These people, this is steppe area, grassland, limited resources. When it comes to this part, and when it comes to this part, hilly area, again limited resources. Whenever there are limited resources and when population pressure increases, when population increase, people fight for the resources. And same is the case, suppose as population is growing, conflicts will increase. During independence time period, 30 crore, 35 crore people were there. Now 130 plus. Now more conflicts because limited resources and we have to share. Now within these also, whoever dominant, whoever powerful, they will gain the more resources. And remaining people, they were either forced or killed. Now this way, now the best area for them is this one. This is Indus Plain. Indus Plain is fertile. Many rivers are there. When these people are pastoral, then they get a lot of grasslands also here. And food, sufficient food is available. Now even better than this is even bigger plain. Same, whatever resource, fertile, food available. And the more the territory, the more the taxes, more the power of the state. And in addition to that, this is survival. And another one is imperialist ambitions. Like, for example, Greek people, they have sufficient food, no problem. But still, why they conquered? Imperialist ambitions, wanted to build big empires, universal empires. And this was inspired by their own mythology, whatever the beliefs. And also the president, if there is any previous king inspires, if any king has huge territory, then naturally those kings used to inspire the later generation that they also wanted to become such great people. When those people who don't have resources and they migrate for these reasons, and those who have already sufficient resources still wanted to expand their empires with these imperialist ambitions. Just make a note of it, because these reasons are same. Now when Babur comes, same. Delhi Sultanate comes, same. British, same reasons. Yes. Hmm. 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 Yeah, he got relations with the Iran also to get the help. Sanju, is it clear? Good morning, Anu. Now, whether it is Shakas or Kushanas or later Hunas, same reasons. And it is always India is a golden bird. Once you get the Gangetic plane under your control, you become very powerful. That is why in ancient times, when agriculture is the main revenue generating resource, whoever controlled Gangetic Valley, they got more chances of becoming pan-India rulers. Whether it is Mauryans, first Gangetic Valley, lot of resources, and they became the powerful. Later, Mughals also, Delhi Sultanate also, by Muhammad bin Tughlaq time period, most of India comes under. Mughals also same. When it comes to British time period also, this kind of already UPSC asked this question. French people were having the control over Pondicherry, but Bengal was conquered by British. Now, when Bengal is in the hands of British, they get the more chances. That is how. Because agriculture is the main important. Once you get agriculture land under your control, you become very powerful, prosperous, powerful. And once you assume this territory, once you gain the territory, once you establish law and order stability, once your borders are safe, then the next immediate step is patronizing the arts. Once you don't have any problem, because once your law and order issue is not there, your borders are safe. For example, India and Pakistan, let us think. If economically, comparing with Pakistan, economically India is well off, and we were having the stable political system, borders are relatively safe. We have problems, no doubt, but relatively safe. As a result, you can see economy is growing. Art and culture means in the form of modern arts and culture. For example, movie making, literature, writing, education system, medical, industries flourish, knowledge will flourish. For example, space missions, nuclear science, they're all growing. Why? Because we are stable, prosperous, comparing with other part. Now, when it comes to Pakistan, it is having many troubles, and within internally also, democracy is not stable. That is going to happen. Same is the case since ancient times. If your kingdom is safe, if your internal policy is safe, and if you once you are internally strong, then next logical development is development of art, culture, sculpture, architecture, whatever resource, whatever technology at that point of time. Each and every of these people are going to contribute in one way or the other way to the Indian culture also. Now we will deal. Now Indo-Greeks, we have seen some rulers, Menander. Once he became stable, he also encouraged Buddhism, Nagasena, Milinda Panho. Once Shungas become stable, again they revived the Brahmanical tradition. They followed Brahmanical footsteps. Now once Shakas comes here, now by this time, this is around 1st century. BC to, and in fact Shakas are very, very unique people in our Indian history, that almost they are going to see 1st century BC to 4th century AD. Almost 500 years they are going to stay.
Like all other, like from Greeks, Shukas, Kampunas, Kushanas, all they have invaded, including Mukherjee. But India has never invaded outside, so it shows India's specialist policy.
Okay.
We are also maintaining a direct business of state policy that India will never attack first; it will just defend. But now the policy is being changed. But what is the reason, sir? What is the why the Indian kings at the present were too weak in the term of army, or did not have any imperialistic ambitions, just like the Greeks or the Romans or the Shakas or Mughals? What was the reason, sir, why did Indian kings did not invade outside? So
why they did not go outside when outsiders are coming here?
In the ancient days, medieval times, something like when Rajendra Chola invaded Cambodia and Sri Lanka. That is too rare, sir. It's very rare. Because others, Shakru and all, Samudra is known as Napoleon of India. They also did not have any mind to encourage to go outside India. So why was this in the mind?
This is very good question, and many people have this in mind also. When it comes to India, it is major reason behind this is our geography. These are we call natural boundaries. This is sea, mountains. Today we have a lot of technology. We can easily cross mountains, we can easily cross seas. But in those times, once you reach the sea, that means the end of the world. It is also partly the kind of beliefs you have. This means you already conquered the world. People wanted to conquer entire world. Alexander also wanted to conquer the world. But he believed that once he conquer India, that is the end of the world. Sea is the end. Once you reach the sea, that means you already achieved your goal. And whenever you go here, see everywhere, then what you believe? That you already achieved the world conquest. That is why whoever controls this land, they were praised as universal monarchs. Chakravartin. For example, Ashoka in Buddhist text, he was praised as Chakravartin. What does it mean? In those times, geography idea is very limited. Till 16th century, we never know that there were lands in South America or North America. Same is the case, and when it comes to Greek time period, we never know that, and they were thinking that this Black Sea is just, this is very near to the Europe, and this is the land. And even during medieval time period also, Bhaktiar Khalji, and he used to think that by going this way, he reached the Tibet. That you might see, you might have studied there. That is, they don't have geographic knowledge, systematic geographic knowledge. Today we have a lot of maps. That's why we able to see each and every inch. But that time, once they reach the sea, that is the end of the world, they achieved the success. And once they reach Himalayas, this is naturally people felt that this is the natural boundary. Once they reach these boundaries, they are satisfied in a way. Always they aspired to reach this boundary, not beyond that. That is why the culture also, everything, it naturally it restricted to these particulars. And that's why we call Indian subcontinent. It includes Afghanistan, eastern part of Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. So this is what geographically we are naturally reaching. The British, once they, for example, you take the British, universal, you can think that ancient people don't have limited geographical knowledge. With that, they were not able to go beyond that. And by 19th, 20th century, you can think British. British have every map of the world. Still, they limited to these boundaries. Why do you think?
Because one of the parliament, one of the right names, they were forwarding the British parliament said that we can afford to lose one or two colonies in the world, but we cannot afford to lose India.
Yes. So once they reach up to this, their main focus goes to stabilize what is there in their hand. And already by this time, land becomes so huge, and your main concentration energy goes to maintain this land. If you go this, and you will face the trouble somewhere here. Because it is not easy to conquer these territories also. There is another way. British went to, they wanted to conquer or at least influence Afghanistan, but they faced the reversal. Exactly. So even if people, if the kings wanted to conquer this territory, they have certain limitations. And once they are embroiled in this, there is a danger of losing this land also, because there are other people who want to become separate kingdoms. Now, they cannot afford to lose this one for the sake of hilly terrain. Comparing with Gangetic Valley, now you as a ruler, he main focus is Gangetic Valley, more fertile, more revenue generating one. Why he is bothered about hilly terrain when it is giving less resources? Except only the main focus here is the security. Otherwise, if you do not protect this, and again, this part is endangered. That is why it's a natural boundaries. So they wanted to reach the natural frontier. So this is called natural frontier. Whether it is British, whether it is Maurya or Mughals, only Mughals also wanted to conquer, for example, Muhammad bin Tughlaq wanted to conquer Khorasana. Khorasana is in Iran. Now as a result, now you see Muhammad bin Tughlaq example. He wanted to conquer, he created army, but he faced the trouble and he has to abandon it. When it comes to Mughals also in a way, they also wanted to conquer this territory. This is emotionally they wanted to conquer their ancestral lands during Shah Jahan time period, during Jahangir time period. But due to this is more precious comparing with this. And again, they had to abandon Balk campaign. Balk campaign they were planning. That is, Balk is near Afghanistan area only. Again, they abandoned for the sake of this land. So focus is, their main focus is to conquer, reach these natural boundaries. Once they reach the natural boundaries, next target is maintain it. So that is why it is not that we don't want to conquer also. Already we reached the natural frontier, successful, already achieved. And it is not that we are not brave also. For example, the same when you think, for example, Mughals, once they are here, for these people, they are the enemies. But once they come here, for these people, somebody else will become the enemy. And whoever living here, they support the person who is ruling here. When Delhi Sultanate is here, people support them. When Mughals are here, they support. But when Mughals are here, the same people fight against them. And that example also we are going to get just now. Once Shakas are beyond natural frontier, these people are going to fight. But once Shakas come here, these people are going to fight against Yuchi. So this is the geographical outline. This is the geostrategic or geopolitics we can say in the modern terminology. Yes.
They have already said that Earth was round because of the depiction of wild boar or our mother earth on wild boar.
Yes.
So they did not get any knowledge from there.
It is imaginary, but really the kind of technology at their disposal limited. And how do you show to the people? It is one ideological person or one scholar might think that way. People also believe that way. Then common people, it is very difficult for the common people to directly see in front of their eyes. Then in that case, when our scriptures say when world is globe, that means when there is a land beyond the sea, then why these kind of, when you cross the sea, you will lose the caste. Why such kind of beliefs also emerged? And these kind of beliefs also made the people not to cross the sea also. You have to say in this way. Suppose when your religion, when your caste is saying, if you cross the sea, you will lose the caste means, then soldier will not be dare enough to cross the sea and conquer the next territory. Even though if people know that there is some territory outside this sea. So these kind of beliefs, the other reason why people did not pursue very actively. Because in their society, the social status is more important than conquering the new territory. So this is some kind of ideological reasons, one reason. And most geographical reason or political reason is once you reach the natural frontier, you are satisfied. Main focus is to reach. Just maintain this land so that you will be protected within this natural frontier. Universal, already called universal monarch. Then what a king wants. If everyone is praising as universal monarch, that is his achievement. Now, from 1st century to 4th century AD, these Shakas, they come here. Later, they reach up to here. They reach up to here. Almost this western part, they are going to control it. Because we don't have much resources to understand each and every aspect. I mean, 500 years is not a small thing. What is that? There is no specific country. At this time, there was no concept of country. Central Asia only. Whether Yuchi, whether Shakas, later Hunas, Turks, all these people are Central Asia. Today we call Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, same lands. Babar also belongs to nearby that area only, Samarkand region, Fergana Valley. So all these are just above our Kashmir, Central Asia. You see this Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan. And this is the territory from where these migrations have taken place. And you see this, wherever you see the green color, that is forest area and more food resources are available. And more fertile and more simple, rich. For example, today America is very rich. And if people have the opportunity to conquer America, people will be ready to conquer America. Because America is rich one. That is why their main focus goes to protect their territory and wealth, land. At this point of time, India is rich and everyone wants to reach Indian territories. It's very rich comparing with these resources. That is why these expansionist policies are very common in those times. And moreover, you have to see the concept called nationalism. This is very new to the human history. This relatively new only in 19th, 20th century. Culturally, we were unified, but the concept of nationalism, as a state, we all belong to the same state, that concepts emerged during Enlightenment period. But before that, culture unified the geographic territories. Indian territory also culturally unified. This helped the 20th century or 19th century freedom fighters to use this culture to make nation in the making. Surendranath Banerjee used to say that India is a nation in the making. And he has written the book also, Nation in the Making. So why these nation building, nation in the making, these concepts emerge, even though we are culturally unified, but politically we are yet to feel, every human being or every Indian has to feel that we all belong to the same state also. But in those times, in 1st century BC, 2nd century BC, people are loyal to the king, not to the territory. If king is powerful, people are ready to follow. And they don't know the much geographic land also. Even today also, a village person may not know beyond certain limit. Their entire life restricted to that particular village or 2-3 villages surrounding. And they don't know what is happening in the nearby city also. And if it is the condition in 21st century, you imagine in those times. And people are just, once your profession is a potter, now your entire life goes in making pottery. That is how the social structure also built. Whatever profession you take, and your entire life goes in just making those professional works. So people are already given the works. And another way, philosophy also, they always praise the king, and whoever once a king establishes, then people ready to follow the king. That is why we don't have that feeling like we all belongs to the same country. This is today's prism, because today we are having a different concept of state, and today we are feeling that everyone belongs to India. We have to safeguard from the foreign invasion. In those times, it is only a small kingdoms. And if you are born here, then you are loyal to this king. For these people, this is also a foreign country. And this is also a foreign country. You see the concept. Today we are seeing this as a foreign country, this as foreign country, this as home country. But in those times, this kingdom is home and the neighboring kingdoms all are foreigners. That is why the 21st century, 20th century principles you cannot apply to the ancient time period. If you apply that way, then conflicts will emerge. It's an evolutionary process. At 1st century and 5th century AD, the concept of nation is different, concept of kingdom is different. When it comes to this, here we are in, now 500 years is not a short span of time. It's a very long period of time. Now within the 500 years, now you see this, 1st century BC. Let us, if you write, BC, 1st BC, 100 AD, 200 BC, 300 BC, 400 BC. Now 500 BC to 1st BC, 500 years. Now Shakas, they are going to become strong in this area. They are almost going to stay. Do you know when Chandragupta II, Gupta ruler? Vakataka. So 350 BC, around 350 AD, sorry, not BC. And Guptas also, why I am writing here, they are also now connected with the Shakas also. Now somewhere here, 58 BC. Now we need to remember 58 BC also, and Guptas also, Chandragupta II. Now you see, 500 years is not a short span of time. In these 500 years, so many religions emerged. Buddhism emerged, Jainism emerged, Ajivaka, Charvaka philosophy, and by 200 BC, now 200, this is Shunga. By this time period, Brahmanical, revivalism, different like Shiva became popular, Bhagavata means Vishnu became popular. By the time Shakas entered Indian plains and up to Pakistan, now you need to see, this is also very important when we are talking about ancient part. We have to see that culturally, our culture is this much. It may create some trouble for the Pakistan, Afghanistan people if we talk like this, but it is the reality. Up to this point of time, Buddhism is, and Jainism is not much, but Hinduism. When it comes to Hinduism, Shiva, Vishnu, and other Vedic gods. Because this is the land where Vedic Vedas, Rig Veda was written. So it is very natural that Vedic gods are still popular, even though they are not dominant. But ideas will remain there. Shiva, Vishnu, Vedic. That means whoever comes, touches this land itself, they will come across Buddhism, Hinduism, and other Indian religions, also Zoroastrianism. Greeks are also there, Greek religions also. Here, Buddhism, Hinduism, they need not touch the Gangetic Valley to reach these land, to reach these ideas. At this point of geography itself, they will come across. And by the time they reach here, these ideas are going to be reinforced further. And the more they enter into the Gangetic Valley, the more Buddhist they will encounter, the more Hindu ideologists they will encounter. So different people start following Shiva, Vishnu, and other Vedic gods. Sun god is there, fire god, Indra, Agni, Indra, Varuna. These people, still they are the minor, still already by this time period, they are all entrenched into the Indian culture. Wherever they go, and here Jainism, they will come across these ideals wherever once they touch the natural boundary, they will come across these. These same people, once they reach here, once the Shakas came, by this time, Buddhism, Jainism, Brahmanical, Shaivism, Vaishnavism, they are all emerging now. And Buddhism, Jainism, they started worshipping Buddha and Vardhaman Mahavira, and this again Bhakti tradition, revival. And now almost all, whether Buddhism or Brahmanism, almost we are going to see the similar kind of ideologies in both the ideas. And when Shakas comes, they are going to accept these principles only ideologically. And if you see one of the Shaka ruler, his name is Rudradaman. What does it mean, Rudradaman? The name Rudra is associated with Shiva.
They have inculcated the culture of the India.
Once they reach this geographic land, that is why it is better not to use the term India at this point of time. Once they reach beyond the Hindu Kush, once they reach Hindu Kush, once they reach this land, always they have these ideals. And once they come across this area, whatever is locally dominant, they are going to accept it. And once they reach, they will accept Buddhism, they will accept Shaivism, some will accept Bhagavatism, all going to be the same. At this point of time, there is no Christianity, there is no Islam, because Christianity is yet to born and Islam is not yet there. After 600 years, Islam is going to come. And just Christianity is about to emerge now. It is just beginning. Somewhere here, Jesus. And around 30 AD. around 30-35, between 30-35 AD, Jesus was crucified. And during his lifetime, small religion, like Buddha, in his lifetime, he might have reached a few people. After Buddha, first Buddhist council, second Buddhist council, third Buddhist council, likewise Buddhism became very strong in different parts. Similarly, Christianity also going to take at least 100-200 years to reach, to spread to different parts. And like here, Ashoka, he accepted Buddhism and he made it as a universal religion, or the state religion, not state religion, but dominant religion in this land. Because he popularized it and he spread also. Similarly, when these areas come under Roman Empire, one Roman emperor, he made Augustus, he made Constantine. Constantine was the ruler and he made Christianity as the state religion because people were fighting in the name of religion. That's why he made Christianity as the state religion. From that time period onwards, Christianity flourished. So it takes at least 100 to 200 years to become a strong religion. So at this point of time, Hinduism is dominant. Hinduism means Shaivism is dominant, Vaishnavism is dominant, and Buddhism particularly very, very dominant. That is why whoever comes to this land, their natural choice is these ideas. Christianity is about to emerge and Islam will come later after 630 afterwards. So 632, Prophet Muhammad died and thereafter his disciples took the Islam to different lands. So that is why at this point of time, if you are born in 1st century BC, you are not a Christian, you are not a Islam, and if you born here, you are going to follow different kind of religion. If you migrate to this, you are going to accept Buddhism or Jainism. Here, we don't know like what we call, what are the beliefs of Neolithic people, Chalcolithic people? Nature worship. When you are continuously migrating, when you have continuous conflicts, you will follow different religions, nature worship only. Like you can say simple, today, what is the religion of tribal people in Central India or Andaman Nicobar? What you will describe? Same description goes to here also. When you are in the primitive stage, whatever beliefs, when Neolithic people, whatever they were believing, Chalcolithic people, whatever they are believing, similar type of beliefs are there everywhere. So that is why when they come here, they felt it is more advanced, more refined. That's why they readily accepted. But when Islam comes, they felt the Islam is more dominant. That's why Islam became dominant. So when you compare with the new idea, when you get new ideas are far better, then people will accept. In the modern time, democracy is more better comparing with the kingship, kingdoms. That is why people are accepting democracy as the state principle. So that is why it is the human evolution. If old idea is not suitable, if new idea is attractive, people will follow that. Shakas also, once they come here, they are going to accept these ideals and they are going to patronize them also. Rudradamani is one important ruler. He is going to, now you see name also, and he is the one. Now you see at this point of time, Prakrit, Pali, Sanskrit. Now once again here, Sanskrit revival takes place, increases, and Rudradaman, he issued Sanskrit inscription. He is the first person in our history who issued pure Sanskrit inscription. And in these 500 years, Shaivism flourished in their dominions also. That is why it is not coincident that in western part, Shaivism is still dominant. For example, Somanath temple, that was built in thousands. But up to 300, the ideals are already. For example, even if you go back to Harappan time period also, Proto-Shiva, and in later Harappan times, those Harappan ideas entered into Gujarat also, late Harappan. So the tradition is there for thousands of years, and once they reach here, that becomes a ready-made, accepted idea, and it is going to flourish in this particular area. Please note down this. Now we have to talk about, this is culturally, I am giving you the idea. Politically also, we are going to see these 2 points. Sanju, Kanchan and Pratik. Is it clear up to here? Rudradaman time period 150 AD. So somewhere 150 AD.
How is Rudradaman Sanskrit different from the Vedic Sanskrit?
Okay, just a second. Pratik, which part is not visible? Rudradaman? Is it visible up to here? Okay.
No, sir. That if there's the speed on them, then you have to take gradually.
For that I have to select this. Is it visible? Is it all right now? Shiva, Bhagavatas, Bhakti tradition. I think it should be visible now. Pratik, is it visible? Kanchan, understood? And Sanju, you have to see how our history and our culture is evolving here. Good. Now these traditions we are going to further. Now by the time Gupta time period, what they are going to patronize? Bhagavata, Dashavatara concept is going to become dominant, Shaivism is going to become dominant, and Buddhism is also going to be dominant. And gradually now same Jainism, Buddhism, Shaivism, Bhagavatism, it's all going to grow stronger and stronger, more people. When state enhances, more and more tribal people come into the Brahmanical fold, and the same ideas going into the tribal areas. So it is like in India also, different tribal areas are coming into the fold of Brahmana ideas. Central Asian tribes also came into the fold of Brahmanical ideas and Buddhist. At this point of time, both Buddhism and Brahmanism are very, very competing forces. They were competing for, you can say, like a missionary zeal. Buddhism also wanted to expand, Brahmanism also wanted to expand. That way, Buddhism and Brahmanism ideas are also going to be almost similar. You write up to here, now I will explain this political aspect also. All of you have written up to here. Can I go to the new slide? Shakas, either you can write SHAKS also, SHAKS also. Here, Ujjain. And when they are expanding, always the local ruler try to resist. Conflicts used to take place everywhere. Everywhere they go. Similarly, there was a ruler called Vikramaditya near Ujjain. And around 1st century BC, there was an intense fight between Vikramaditya and Shakas. Vikramaditya became victorious, and for his victories, for his bravery, later rulers started taking 58 BC in his honor, and they started following him as the base date. This we call Vikram era. Vikram era started because of this.
Recording in progress.
So this Vikram era, 58 BC, became starting point for another calendar called Vikram era. Later, many rulers, who were very brave, they used to compare with Vikramaditya. In Gupta time period, now you see, Shakas are going to stay here. Shakas are going to, even though they were defeated, and this area, particularly this Gujarat and the northern Maharashtra, Malwa region, Rajasthan region, came under Shaka control. In 350 AD, after Samudragupta, Chandragupta II will come. By this time period, already Gupta Empire reached this part. Samudragupta conquered many territories. The major area left for Guptas is this western Gujarat area, western part. Chandragupta II is going to fight against these same Shakas. Chandragupta II. And for this purpose, earlier in the memory of Indians, there was a ruler called Vikramaditya who defeated Shakas and he started Vikram era. Now Chandragupta II also defeated Shakas. Now literature started praising Chandragupta II also equivalent to Vikramaditya. That's why in our history we say Vikramaditya Chandragupta or Chandragupta Vikramaditya. Chandragupta Vikramaditya, he took the title. Like this, many rulers are there in our history that many people have taken Vikramaditya as their title. No. Later, after some time, what happened? Whoever defeats Mleshchas. Generally, the term Mleshchas used for the foreigners in the Indian literature. And whoever defeats Mleshchas, they were praised as Vikramaditya. One more example. Now we are in 58 BC. And this Chandragupta Maurya, Chandragupta II, sorry, not Maurya, Chandragupta. There were continuous fights. There is no single battle. There were continuous fights. Finally, Shakas were uprooted. Only during Chandragupta II time period only Shakas were completely uprooted. Till that time, they were still relevant. For 500 years, they ruled. Now, once more, Chandragupta Vikramaditya will come. The title Vikramaditya we use once again in what is the importance of 1556 AD? Which battle of Panipat? Second battle of Panipat. And in second battle of Panipat, who are the fighters? Who are the contenders? Akbar under Bairam Khan versus Hemu. And he was also praised as Hemu Vikramaditya. Suri, Shershah Suri. After Shershah Suri, Sur dynasty. Shershah Suri established Sur dynasty. After Shershah Suri, his son came, and his successors are not very strong people. That's why military general became powerful, and he assumed the title Hemu Vikramaditya, because he is now fighting against militias. At this time, who are the militias? Akbar forces. At this time, who are the militias? Shakas. And after some time during Gupta time period, who are the militias? Hunas. Turkish people. For Rajput people, militias are Turkish people. The term we often, during Shunga time period, who are the militias? Indo-Greeks. Are you getting that common terminology we are going to apply in our Indian literature? We apply this particular term for those whoever is conquering. It is combination of multiple things. One is foreigners, but that term is applied for the foreigners, and also it's a degraded term. Hello, is video not clear? Pratik? Am I not visible to you? Sanju and Kanchan, am I visible? Okay. Pratik, I am visible. Video is visible. Please check in your end. This is degraded term. Generally, this applied to the foreigners who were invading. Now, at this point of Shakas, from Shunga time period onwards, because more and more foreigners are coming, that's why this this term became very common from this time period onwards. Chandragupta too also took the title Vikramaditya. Hemu also took the title Vikramaditya. Now Vikramaditya became very, very common, and in recent times for one of the ships also we named Vikramaditya. So this became one of the title for valor, bravery. And here the context also goes to the Sekhar time period. You mentioned this. You write up to here. Then we have to talk about some other part also. Then we will move to the Kushanas. Sanju and Kanchan, have you written up to here? Now go to the next part. So Vikramaditya, Vikram era. Now here, these people, once they stabilized, they are going to fight with Shatavahanas. Shakas. And here they used to fight. Here some rulers, Shaka rulers like Nahapana, Rudradaman, around 150 AD. And when it comes to Satavahana side, Gautami Putra Shatakarni. Then Vashishti Putra Pulumavi. And Nahapana and Gautami Putra Shatakarni, they were fighting. Gautami Putra Shatakarni defeated Nahapana. That is between Vasishtiputra and Rudradaman. So this is very, very common. First fight, later as part of peace treaty, matrimonial relations. During Mauryan time period also one example is there. Chandragupta Maurya, Seleucus Nicator, they fought for the territory. After peace agreement, matrimonial relation. Same is the case. Initially they fight for some time to establish peace and stability for both kingdoms, marriage relations. State is different, marriage is different. So it is going to be very, very common practice in those times. As part of, they fight. And both wanted to maintain peace in their respective kingdoms. And someone mediator or the peace manager, they come and say that matrimonial relation is the best method of maintaining peace. Then after marriage also they were fighting. So that is continuous. In our history, it is very, very common. For example, during Akbar, now you see, it is very, not only in ancient, Akbar wanted to conquer Rajput territory. But continuous wars and battle, not good for Akbar also, not good for Rajputs also. Marriage relationship. And even after marriage also, they were fighting only. All Rajputs did not submit. So fighting is different. But for some time, marriage helped to maintain peace and stability. Suppose today in the present circumstances, suppose if there are two important national parties, one major leader from one national party can have matrimonial relations with other national party member also. Now two rivalry parties might be there, but you can find marriage relationship or the relationships, matrimonial relationships within the different parties also. That is in the modern time. We don't have this kind of feeling like different king, different. But this is very, ideologically you are different, your territory is different. Ideologically I am different, my territory is different. But still we can have relationships. Marriage relationship is one of the methods of enhancing the state power. War is one method, trade is one power, another one, marriage relationship is another tool. It's a tool to ensure stability of the kingdom or to expand the influence of the kingdom. Now Nahapana, two people we get, Rudradaman. No. Now which caste Rudradaman belongs to, which caste Nahapana belongs to? Because they are rulers, Brahmanical text gave Kshatriya status to them. And they declared themselves as Brahmanas. When it comes to state politics, all these will not come into play. This is for common people to ensure the stability, but when it comes to the state, so they may say that for the state stability, we are taking this step. We are not happy, but still, for the sake of people, we are doing this. And you can say even today also, alliances are taking place. Ideologically, different parties have different ideologies. But when it comes to the power, establishing the state power, people will form the alliance. And they will say, instability should not be there. For the sake of state, we are forming the alliance. In Maharashtra also that happened. Two different ideologies, they came together and they formed the government. This is in the modern sense of democracy. But in those times, whether it is Brahmanism, whether it is Kshatriya, whether it is, for example, Guptas are Vaishyas, but they had matrimonial relationship with Lishchavi, Kshatriya. And they have matrimonial relationship with Nagas. Nagas we can consider Shudra or tribal people, they had. Vakatakas are Brahmanas, they had matrimonial relation. Kshatriyas also, tribals also, Brahmanas also, and Guptas belong to Vaishya. Once you become powerful, once you reach the state authority, for example, Mauryans were degraded as Shudras in Brahmanical texts, but still they ruled very powerfully for more than 100 years. Literature, that is why the kind of Varna system in our society, theoretical model, but practically there are so many violations, it is very fluid. This is what theoretically it is very rigid, but practically it is fluid. It is very unique to Indian system. Once you become powerful, all these existing Varna rules may not apply to you. But if you are weak, all the rules will apply to you. In the present context, law will apply if you are a poor person. When you are a rich person, law may not apply. You can break it. Whether you are punished or not, that is the efficiency of the bureaucracy or administration. But still, at this point of time, Varna system is there. Theoretical model is saying rigid, and even Brahmanical literature also praising those who follow the Varna order. Their main duty, Brahmanical literature says, to establish the Varna order. But ruler himself is not following the Varna order. Then, what inference we can make? They are only prescribing, but practically, in practice, different fluid situation is there. Freely, people are moving from one category to the other category. That is why inter-Varna marriages are also common. That is why this jati emerged. In our system, it is both conflicts. Indian history is, you will see two extremes. On one hand, we say this also, on the other hand, we say exactly opposite also. Theoretically, we say everyone should follow the Varna order, but practically, if we know more and more, we get to know that it is not that rigid. It's a very fluid one. But again, the other extreme people wanted to give the degraded term jati. Different degraded terms also emerged. But we don't know whether this particular term was in it. Today it became very degraded one, very low one. But at that point of time, we don't know whether that is a very degraded term. Otherwise, it would not have existed till this point of time. Unless there is a usage in the common practice, unless people followed it, no culture will survive for a very long time. It will go. But still, some evils will remain. Those also we are going to attack. That is why social reformers, in the form of Buddhism, they questioned these kind of ideologies. In the form of Bhakti tradition, in Buddhism and Brahmanical tradition itself, Alvars and Nainars, they also questioned these, why these disabilities are imposed on certain section when all people are born or all people are children of the God. In medieval time period also, both Bhakti and Sufi movement, they are going to question. In 18th century, 19th century, socio-religious reform, and today our constitution. Throughout history, these are emerging continuously. But now when foreigners came, today, in this pattern, today we are calling them as foreigners. But at this point of time, this continuous movement is very, very common practice. Just these people came to this land and they established the state authority. Like the people from here go here and establish the state authority. Like the people from here go here and establish the authority. But if someone moves from here to here, we are not calling them as foreigner. If someone comes from here to here, we are not calling them as foreigners. But if someone comes from here to here, we are calling them as foreigners. Why? Because today, our boundaries are limited to this. This is the 21st century language we are applying to 1st century BC. But at that time, people were freely migrating from this to this area and this area to this area. But when it comes to this area, this is natural boundary, the mountain. That's why once these people cross this, and the same people who came here, they become the protector. They used to fight the other side of the boundary. So this way, Shakas, they are going to rule for almost 500 years. You remember Nahapana, Rudradaman. This side, Gautami Putra Shatakarni, Vasishti Putra. 58 BC is Vikram era started. They had connection with the Shakas. Later, Chandragupta too also take the title Vikramaditya. During Akbar time period, Hemu Vikramaditya also there. The term Vikramaditya became the synonym for the bravery in our Indian culture. Like Caesar. In Roman Empire, the Caesar. Many people used to take the title Caesar. Russians, inspired from Caesar, in their language it became Tsar. Alexander Tsar, Nicholas Tsar. So likewise, yes, the terminology changed, the language changed. Like Alexander, we are calling. During Alauddin Khilji time period, Sikandar. Sikandar is the term used for Alexander. In local vernacular language, the terms will change. But their emotion is like Caesar, Alexander. When it comes to here, Vikramaditya. They have the connection with the Shakas. Is it clear? Shakas? And these people, they patronized Buddhist also. They patronized Brahmanical tradition also. They patronized Sanskrit. Rudradaman inscription, Girinar inscription, it talks about Sudarshana lake. Once again, the Mauryan time period lake was repaired during, yes, Junagadh inscription. Girinar inscription, or you will find Junagadh also. Both are same. Girinar hill, place is Junagadh. Junagadh. And they issued so many coins also for trade purpose. And we know these people from the coins only. Just to mention these things, first I am explaining in detail about the political developments. Later I will give you the notes also, how to write in the mains answer. But without knowing this story, you will not connect that at that time. Anulom, Pratilom, yes, Pratik. So marriage, intervarna marriages. All of you have written up to here?
So, by the way, in the southern or the South India, where they accepted Alvars and Nayanars.
Alvars, Nayanars, that becomes later in 6th century, 7th century. At this point of time, there were not. Alvar Nayanars will come later, in 6th, 7th century AD. At this point of time, Sangam literature only, Sangam age.
So, all the things I read about Alvars and Nayanars, not Alvars, especially Nayanars, Nayana was Shiva, Alvar was Vishnu. Mostly tribal people followed Nayanas, and also like there was a woman about Akapati or Akampala, something her name was. She was a tribal, and she lived in the forest, just like just like Shiva. And he told that according to Shiva's disciples were mostly the lower caste people, the Danavas and all. So she identified herself with as a witch, and she roamed around the forest singing Shiva's name. And her statue was also like she was short hairs and bulging eyes, and then thin legs.
Okay.
And people describe her as a witch. And
so that time in 6th, 7th century, that was the tradition. Now next one. Kushanas. Again, story goes to the same. Central Asian people, they push the Shakas. And the Shakas Kushana Empire. In fact, they Central Asia. Purushpura, Kundalwan, Madura, Kushanas. Okay. Before Kushanas, this side, Parthian Empire, Parthians, Shakas, Shatavahanas. Yeah. Yes. Shakas became subordinate rulers of Kushanas. Once they become weak, they become once again autonomous rulers. When it comes to post-Mauryan period, this is like a very, very confusing scenario for this time period. Because earlier Greeks were there, now Greeks replaced by Shakas. And when Shakas were expanding, this side Kushanas are expanding here. By the time they reached here, Shakas became weak rulers and they became subordinate to the Kushanas. But once Kushana became weak, once again Shakas became dominant. That is how Shakas are going to become relevant for almost 500 years. Whenever weak ruler was there, they become prominent. Whenever strong ruler was there, they assume the. And in fact, after Guptas, they defeated them, but still Shakas might have served the Guptas for some time period. Likewise, when Kushanas ruled, they subordinated to the Kushanas for some time. And once they become weak, they once again ruled. And Parthians also, before the emergence of Kushanas, Parthians were also there. Many people, this age is mixing of many people, many Central Asian tribes from West also, Iranian side also, many people came and settled in this area. This area is always a flux. Today also, 1000 years also, 2000 years also. So right, tribal people, they migrated. Here, Kujula Kadphises rulers. Kujula, Kadphises, Vima Kadphises, Kushana rulers. we mark advices. The next ruler, Kanishka. He is very famous in our history. Purushpura, Kandahar, Kundalwan, Madura. These are the important territories. Kanishka name. There are many people like Huvishka, Kanishka, though in the end SHKA will come. Yeah, they laid the foundation, and later he became, because he patronized arts, he accepted. Fourth Buddhist council was held by Kanishka. Now you see this. Like this land having so many religions, now this territory, this is their territory, this territory is also known for so many religions. Up to here you write, then next we will write separately. Otherwise it becomes confusing.
So one thing is that there were Parthians, Shakas, Kushanas in one place.
In small.
It's small. So but the people living there, they have to pay taxes. They pay taxes to whom? Kushanas or Shakas or Parthians?
Suppose people are here, and these people are ruled by a ruler called Raja. And this Raja is ruled by Maharaja. And after this ruler was ruled by Maharaja the Raja. So what does it mean? Who is paying taxes to whom? People pay taxes to Raja, they pay to Maharaja, and they pay to Maharaja the Raja. Same is the case at local ruler, they pay taxes to local ruler, and they in turn pay the tribute to the main ruler. And in fact, here, Guptas were also there. Guptas were also subordinate rulers of Kushanas. Before they emerged as imperial Guptas, they were one of the feudatories of Kushanas. Once Kushana empire became weak, Guptas emerged strong. Now you see, once they are there as part of the empire, their administration Guptas will learn, their military tactics they learn, their administrative system they learn. And in fact, like Guptas after this time period, Shatavahanas they are the subordinate rulers of Mauryans. Before they emerged as powerful dynasty, Shatavahanas served under Mauryans. Once they are ruling under Mauryans, Mauryan administration they learn, Mauryan economy they know, and the Mauryan way of administration and also the kind of policies they were following they already know. Gradually, once Mauryan rulers became weak, Shatavahanas became dominant. In our history, this is very common. Initially, one dynasty rule or serve under another dynasty. Once main dynasty becomes weak, they become the strong. Suppose in the modern context, how you see, during independence time period or before 1947, many people joined freedom fighting, freedom struggle, and many people were member of Indian National Congress. After independence, so many people, they started different political parties. But once they form the political party, it doesn't mean they are going to start the organization very fresh. Once they are in Indian National Congress, they know how one political party runs. They know how to take the commands, how to give the commands, how to run the organization, how to get the funds. They take then gradually they become very powerful also after some time. And they may completely overshadow Indian National Congress itself after some time. So this is very natural. It's a very gradual process. Because today we know for the last 40-50 years how it is happening. But you imagine for 200 years, 300 years, how the conditions will change. Guptas served Kushanas, Shatavahanas served Mauryans, and Shakas also for some time served Kushanas, but before that they were very powerful. And Parthians also, before Kushanas emerged, Parthians were for some time powerful, and later they were overshadowed by Kushanas. Kujula Katfais, Vima and Kanishka. These people continuously expanded. This is the territory. Now I will draw one more map. This image will give you, for Indian subcontinent, secularism is, it's a natural part of our history. Central Asian gods are religion. Greek gods were there. Persian gods were there. Buddhism, Shaivism, Buddhism, Shaivism. Bhagavatism. Jainism. All the religions are there. Kandahar under their area influence and Kushana's capital. Kushana's capital, Purushpura. Pratik, it is Purushpura. Purushpura is important capital. Madura is another important provincial capital for the Kushanas. During this time period, Purushpura, Takshila, Sialkot, Madura, these are the very, very important places. Different rulers used, for some people, Sialkot. Menander, he used it as a capital. Then during Bhagabhadra time period, Takshila was the capital of one Greek ruler. Then Purushpura during Kanishka time period. Madura acted as a second capital, you can say.
How did the Greeks suddenly vanish from that area?
They did not vanish. We are not talking about them. Are you getting? So this is what. And in fact, at least today we are talking about these kingdoms in this detail. For some time, historians, they did not even talk about this. They called this entire period as Dark Age. Because scholars were very much obsessed with universal monarchs. They always wanted to talk about universal monarchs, Chakravartin. And because of such historians only, Alexander became the Great. You have to see, we made Alexander, historians made Alexander the Great. If we don't know about them, then how they become the great? Because if we glorify them, then only they become the great. And on what basis you are giving the title great? Also, it's a questionable one. Just for conquering the territories, will a person become great? Then what about the administration? What about the stability?
He's known as the great for his peace. Akbar was known as the great for his expansionist policy. Similarly, Alexander is known for his battles.
Yes.
Expansion did not have the
He did not have the time to consolidate. Like Ashoka, Ashoka issued Dhamma because his territory vast and also many religions were there, and he now tried to give stability to these differences. Similarly, when it comes to Alexander, we don't know. He did not rule. Practically, he's a military general. He conquered completely. But in 18th and 19th centuries, or in fact immediately after him, people in these time periods, they were glorifying the military capabilities. That is why you see in history, military expansion is one of the virtuous act of these times. Today we are calling violence is bad thing. But in those times, wars, battles and bravery is one of the virtuous quality of a person. That is why Rajputs also, war is a sport for them. So Rajputs are known for chivalry, valor and the fighting spirit, because that is a continuous tradition since ancient times. That is why historians also, Alexander became very, very great because people loved that quality. People loved conquering the territories, people loved wars and battles, whoever gaining victories, and they were praised. But today the modern standards are different. Now if someone go for war, we are not happy with the war. That is the same reason Hitler also took the inspiration from these people. But only difference is, by Hitler time period, weapons were very dreaded. They are very dangerous weapons. Earlier, only people were killed during the war front lines. Only soldiers were got killed. But now civilians are also getting affected. That is why war became a negative word now. But in those times, war was one of the virtuous qualities. A ruler should go for war. So that is why. Now, after seeing particularly First World War and Second World War, why First World War happened? Because German people they loved to go for war. Rabid nationalism, and they wanted to expand the territory. They were not different from Alexander, they were not different from Genghis Khan, or they were not different from Akbar, they were not different from any person. But only difference is, for these people only swords and only they can kill the soldiers. But when it comes to First World War, they started killing the civilians also. And in Second World War, that became even more dangerous. That is why if Third World War comes, and that we can think that is the end of the wars. Why end of the wars? No human being will survive. And no human being, no war thereafter. Everywhere nuclear war explosion. Now if you blow a nuclear weapon here, it affects India also, it affects Pakistan. If Pakistan affects here, then it affects Pakistan also. Now if everyone blow nuclear weapon, then no person will dare. So that is the last war human beings are going to fight.
Hydrogen bombs can have 3,000 kilotons. That is what Hiroshima and Nagasaki had. It can have 10 to 20 times more the effect of.
Now you see, now that is during 1945. Now by this time, so much powerful weapons already emerged. Now it is going to become, that's why war is not a good word now. Now because also entire world is connected now. If war happens in one place, it affects every other part of the globe. Russia-Ukraine war. Now Ukraine war is going on. Now wheat prices increase. Common people are suffering now. At this point of time, only front lines. And once war is done, now nuking. That is why for common people, whether you are it doesn't matter whether you are following Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, it doesn't matter for common people. Common people have work to do, they are doing. Only one ruler will go, another ruler will come. And only maximum people suffer is, If 20% of tax is going, if ruler is a very dangerous person, 50% of the tax he will take. But it doesn't matter whether he is a Muslim, whether he is a Hindu, whether it is Christian, that doesn't matter. That is why this is the modern time. Today, we are living in a different time and we are communalizing. This is what communalizing the history. But if you really live in that particular point of time, war is a continuous phenomena. This person comes here, this person goes here, and this person conquer this territory, this person conquer this territory. But common people are more or less not affected, only soldiers. It is later when soldiers when weapons become more and more dangerous, more and more common people are also getting affected. And some people, some rulers, they want to punish the opponents. That's why they used to burn entire cities. In medieval time period, we see these burning cities completely. But at least in those times also again, they can only fire, they can put the fire, only one village or two villages or one city. But by 1940s and 1930s, Spanish Civil War happened. Germany and Italian fascist forces, Mussolini and Hitler, both supported Spain. They destroyed cities. So that is why General Franco, by 1940s, weapons were very dangerous. Common people suffered. They were burning cities in fraction of minutes. So in 1945, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, with one weapon, they completely wiped out the map of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That is why war is not a good one. Everyone is affecting. But in those times, it is very common practice. We cannot apply the present day lens that they are foreigners and they are different religion. But once they come here, they follow the same people's ideology.
I don't know if it's true or not, but it's related to my family. So my title is I am Senapati. Senapati title. At least the ruler, my grandmothers and all, they have got it. I don't know. And more or less, I also don't believe it because it's a very dark past. That is, we were first super lower caste, and one of our ancestors, then it was a part of some Palo sectarians, some army.
Okay.
And they couldn't, there was a village and they wouldn't pay taxes. So what my ancestor did, one of my ancestors, being the part of the army, he burned the village.
Okay.
The king gave the title of Senapati and also lifted us from lower caste to Shakti.
Okay, promoted.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That you told me that burning of
Burning, yes.
taxes were not given out to, but it's still certainly illegal.
So that is how they used to, unless during war times, common people are not affected, but only during harsh measures or only when king is very harsh, that time it was taking place. But more or less the wars were limited to the frontiers. Now at this point of time, these many religions are there. Now you see, his empire is including Central Asia also. Here religion is different. Greek people were there. They are not in the politics because they are weak. But their ideology, that is why during this same time period only, Gandhara school of art is going to emerge. If Greek gods are not dominant, how Gandhara school of art shows so many images with Greek gods? Culture is dominant. And similarly, Persian gods and Buddhism from this side, Shaivism. And in fact, this is the religion, early Vedic religion, that continues the tradition. We may not be talking about early Vedic now, Rig Vedic time period now. But the people who are living there, they are going to be influenced by that tradition also. Indra, Varuna, Agni. And on top of it, Greeks will come, Persians will come. From this side, Buddhism and Jainism also will come. So this intermixing is common. Now his Kushanas empire also, it's like Ashoka's empire. Different tribals, different religions, different ideologies, different geographic locations. Now he is doing this. Now he also wanted peaceful policy. That policy we will see from the coins. They issued the coins, gold coins. And in fact, these are the purest gold coins in our history. Guptas also issued gold coins, but Kushana's coins were purest. When it comes to Guptas, they issued large number of gold coins. These gold coins contain the images of Greek gods, fire gods, particularly this we think that Persian gods. Hindu gods, particularly Shiva. And he convened Fourth Buddhist Council, Buddhism. And he sent ambassadors to different parts also, Buddhist ambassadors. Spread. Fourth Buddhist Council? No, not 4th BC. He is now living in 2nd century AD. There is no timeline also.
So what happened in Buddhist council? What was the aim?
Outcome? Okay, I will explain. Just a second. Pratik is saying, is it due to Orientalist writing as they wanted to show despotic rule in India? Yes, Pratik. Fourth World War will be fought with sticks and so. Yes, you are right. So first one, Orientalist, you are right. During when British came here, they wanted to show Indian. Always Indians were lived under despotic rulers. And they wanted to prove that British rule is very humane. British rule is very genuine. And they came here to civilize Indians. And they wanted to uplift the common people. And nobody will tell that I am a cruel person, I came here to rule. They always wanted to show that I am a good person, I came here to help you. And in order to say that, they have utilized so many institutions. One of the tools is history. That Orientalism writing. So, despotic, you are right. That is why our history, our reconstruction of the history is also, it's all the kind of the mirror through which we are seeing our past. After 100 years, a new type of ideology may come. They may look at the past in a different way also. We don't know. But at this point of time, whatever we are studying is the history written by the historians from 19th and 20th century. Fourth Buddhist Council was also held. Now, Kanishka, he patronized Ashwagosha, Vasumitra. These are the Buddhist scholars. And these people, now you see, these people, they were writing about Buddhism in Sanskrit. So now by this time you can see, when it comes to language, Kharosthi script, Greek script, Aramaic script, Prakrit, or Brahmi script. Script wise. Language wise, Prakrit language, Greek, Aramaic, Central Asian, these are the languages. These are the scripts. Ashoka time period also, same thing. Now, when Kushana, again this area come under Kushanas, Kanishka again, they cannot change the society altogether. His personal preferences might be different. Ashoka personal preference is Buddhism. Kanishka preference might be personally Buddhism. Rudradaman personally Shiva. But common people, local people, they are following all these. They will not change it. When Turkish people will come, now in addition to that, one more religion will add Islam. And by the time one more Parisian language will come. But remaining things are already there. Only for some time period, one particular language, one particular religion may take the precedence, but it doesn't mean other languages, other religions are completely destroyed. Today, for example, many people are talking Hindi, but it doesn't mean vernacular languages are completely eliminated. They are following their own languages also. So in that way, one religion might be dominant, got the state patronage. It doesn't mean other religions completely vanished or perished. They used to survive. Local people always you will find this is the unique nature of the Indian subcontinent. That's why Indian traditions are still continuing. Now, in addition to that, Sanskrit language. At this point of time, Sanskrit is dominant, becoming a dominant because even Buddhist people also taking Sanskrit as the language to express the Buddhist ideals. He is patronizing all of them. Secular policy. And on the coins, you will see different kinds of gods. And when it comes to titles also, they have taken Devaputra. The title used by Kanishka and other Kushana rulers, Devaputra, son of God. So they are equating themselves with gods now. So the authority of the king is becoming more and more stronger as we progress next level. Written up to here? Kushanas?
Ashwagosha and Vashmitra, they translated the Brahmapari script to Sanskrit script, or they wrote their own books.
Own books. Ashwagosha has written History of Buddha, Buddha Charita. And in 4th Buddhist Council, do you know who is the president of 4th Buddhist Council? Vashmitra.
So during the Buddhist council, there will be many sects of Buddhism as said in the Buddhist literature.
Oh. It's done. It's done anyway, our class also done. I'll message.